If you want to be a customer-oriented organization, you should ensure that the customer gets the right product of the right quality and quantity at the right time. One change that needs to be made is a prevention-oriented approach, not production plan focusing. By prevention, I mean acting before it is too late. That is, before a failure occurs. How can we do this? Detect anomalies before they become failures. How can you detect anomalies before they become failures? Introduce routine TPM rounds during which employees will inspect the machines. Before you start implementing the rounds, check what the communication looks like. Imagine that this pyramid is your organization. From the top management to the production staff at the very bottom. Everyone locked in their department, dealing with their own affairs. Top-down instructions are forwarded to the operations department. In this arrangement, showing and solving problems is much more difficult. The process of providing information about the problem through the communication path significantly impedes its removal, and thus its duration becomes more severe, and the consequence is increasing costs. The more neglected the machine, the more anomalies occur on it, leading to stoppage, which limits its availability. What happens next? A stopped machine means a longer delivery time to the customer, which we want to avoid. Therefore, if you want to act effectively, you will have to ensure that your organization changes its approach to problem management. The solution is to invert the pyramid and highlight the importance of the process and the employees who support it. Thus, the problems they report will be the most important and visible. Once we have the ground ready, the next thing is the tools that operators should be equipped with to make problem management more efficient. One such tool is the TPM rounds. In other words, control rounds during which dedicated employees will discover and report technical problems on machines. And so, we've come to the rounds themselves. Now I will tell you about them in more detail. Saying rounds, you probably visualize just a walk around the machine. You might put it that way, but several such control rounds can be distinguished. Two of them are directly related to the TPM tool, while one is related to the foundations defined within Toyota House. I hope you know what the basics of this house are. If not, I'll remind you. One of the foundation elements is the 5S method, and this is the tool that the third type of round is associated with. I will start with the third round type, the 5S rounds. I think it will be a little reminder for you and a knowledge taxonomy. However, if you have not had any contact with the 5S method yet, I strongly encourage you to familiarize yourself with the course devoted to this method. I can call these types of rounds the TPM 5S rounds. Why? Because I'd like to show you this combination of the two tools, 5S and TPM. A very important part of the 5S method is cleaning. I would like you to understand, dear listener, that the third S, or systematic cleaning, is not just cleaning up of the workplace. The third S is precisely this part of the foundation that serves the implementation of TPM. The TPM 5S rounds, as I call them, are a thorough cleaning of the machine as described by the standard. This standard also mentions that during the cleaning, attention should also be paid to the technical condition of the machine. For your better understanding, I will use an example from my professional work. In the company where I worked, there was a failure that was of key importance to the entire press plant. During its normal operation, the upper die stamping the sheet metal stopped at some point. The arrest was accompanied by a loud grinding noise. It turned out that the stoppage was caused by loss of stability of the press, as a result of which the upper die guidance was blocked. After a thorough analysis, it turned out that the root cause of the problem was poorly prepared foundations on which the press was mounted, which in turn led to the loss of stability and cracking of the pressure structure. The end result was a blockade of guiding mechanisms. You're probably wondering what this has to do with 5S and the rounds I mentioned. Well, a lot. If we had been conducting through 5S rounds and during such a walk the employee had cleaned the machine structure, he would have noticed at that stage the cracks in the structure, and then it would have been possible to react in order to protect it from further degradation. The TPM 5S rounds are the foundation of further actions. They are the first tool for production operators who are to learn how to observe their machines already during cleaning. Another type of rounds reviewing the state of the machines are the TPM AM rounds. That is, inspections carried out by the machine users, production workers. These types of activities are carried out during the introduction of the first pillar of TPM, autonomous maintenance. The TPM AM rounds are more complex inspections of individual machine components. The operator gets a list of control points that he needs to check and reports any problems. Do you remember what tool is used to report anomalies in autonomous maintenance? These are red cards of the so-called red tag system. Take a look at the lesson on autonomous maintenance. There you will learn the details. I'll try to explain to you briefly how TPM-AM rounds work. Perhaps you found in the literature, on the internet, or in a real situation, feet drawn on the floor around the machines. You must wonder what this is about. Why does someone draw feet? How does this help? This is exactly what the TPM rounds involve. In one company, I saw this solution on all machines. Of course, these feet on the ground are accompanied by appropriate documentation, whose method of development you will learn about later in the lesson. In this company, the machine operator walked around the machine every day, standing on each foot in turn. The feet were numbered. I learned later that these are the numbers of so-called inspection points in the round. Standing on foot number 1, the operator was holding a list of all the inspection points in his hands, and each inspection point had appropriate control elements. For example, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc. The operator's task is to go through all the feet, that is, the inspection points, and check at each inspection point specific control elements and compare them with the records in the documentation. If the existing situation is different than expected, the operator removes the problem or signals an anomaly using a red tag card when he is not qualified to remove it. Anomalies on red tags are collected and removed by maintenance services. You've already learned about 2 types of rounds dedicated to persons from the production department. The third type is the TPM-PM rounds, the specialist control rounds. These types of rounds are already carried out by qualified technical staff of the maintenance department and are a part of the implementation of the third pillar of TPM specialist maintenance. These rounds often use diagnostic equipment to detect problems that may appear on the machine at a very early stage. Now I will tell you about a situation that I experienced while working for a mechanical engineering company. One day, on one of the important production lines, the engine responsible for the main drive was damaged. The engine had been permanently damaged due to overheating. The damage occurred for lack of engine cooling. A special system was responsible for cooling, which turned out not to be efficient enough. The stoppage of the line meant high costs, including fines for missing a delivery to our customer. What could we do? In this situation, not much, but we have prospectively introduced the TPM PM rounds for a maintenance worker whose duty was to go through the key components of the machine and use a thermal imaging camera to check their condition. If we had developed such rounds earlier and equipped the technicians with the proper equipment, they would have been able to detect the overheating engine sooner, improve the cooling, and prevent it from overheating. Summarizing the current information about the rounds, we can divide them into three types. TPM 5S rounds as the element of cleaning in the 5S system. TPM AM rounds as an additional tool for production workers meant to detect anomalies. TPM PM rounds for technicians requiring appropriate qualifications and often diagnostic equipment.